The next thing is I want to talk some more about this. The subject that we brought up last week regarding asking for referrals, and I want to make sure that we don't gloss over this, because I have a tendency the next thing and the next thing, and then we don't stay focused on this thing. If you all became masters at asking for referrals over the next quarter, like let's just focus on this skill and get really comfortable with a script that we're all comfortable saying, verbally asking for a referral from a customer in a way that all of a sudden starts to build new referral business for you. I think this can make a huge difference, because at the end of the day, what do we all want? More leads. We all want more leads, because if we get more leads, we're going to have more opportunities to help people. And that's all it comes down to. And it isn't, and your clients love you. I have the 5-star reviews. You have the 5-star reviews to prove it. And I remember asking myself all the time, I was like, why do some customers refer me so much and others don't, even though they love what I do and they only use me, they keep coming back to me. And I just like, I think what screwed me up is a lot of people referred me without me asking them to. And so I just figured everybody would do that. Well, not everybody's wired like that. So being able to ask direct is such a critical skill. So what I would like to do is, going forward, give you guys some so that we sent it out yesterday or last week with the Coffee for Closers recording, the link to, because I think it's a good script, the link to the Enact MI asking for how to ask for referrals. The one that was the one that was direct, not the one. I don't like the ones where I say, hey, if you could keep me in mind, is a passive way to ask. If you could keep me in mind sounds like, yeah, sure. I can say, yeah, I'll keep you in mind, and then walk away. Like, I don't even remember. Keep you in mind for what? I can't remember what you asked me to do. When you ask directly, like, do you think in the next 3 months you could refer 2 people to me who might be looking to purchase or refinance, is a way more direct ask. Now, if you could figure out a way to ask that question in a way that makes you come, because I get it might not be a comfortable ask, because it's a very, it's a direct ask, right? It's like Casey brought up last week, the people that like shove the piece of paper. That's a bold ask for me, and I'm not criticizing it. I just couldn't do it. I'm not being critical of it because it worked. They wrote down some names. Whether or not they got anything from that is another thing, but being able to ask like that, and what I'd like us to do is maybe try to get to where we're on this call every week. We're sharing how we're asking and some of the statistical data that you're going to start to keep track of. Because if you just ask, and Jacqueline and I were talking about this, if you asked once a day, if you could ask one person a day for a referral, that way, 250 asks in a year is what that would be. You'd get more leads. You just would. We know that you would. And if you got, I don't know how many leads you'd get, but if you asked 250 people, would you get 5%? Would you get 12 leads? They'd be high quality leads. I know they would be, because these are pre-sold leads and those things close at a high level. 12 loans, $5,000 a loan, 60 grand. Is it worth asking? I think it's worth asking. And so, or whatever your number is, $4,000 a loan, 50 grand. It's a lot of money. And I just think that this is a skill that we could develop, and it's not sexy. It's not exciting. It's not a new thing. I just feel like it's one of those things where if you focused on it and you really decided that I'm going to start asking in a way, and I'm going to be great at this, because it's an easy ask, because this just comes down, it doesn't cost you anything to ask. You don't have to spend any money on marketing. You don't have to buy anybody a cup of coffee. You could start to ask people for referrals and then start to reward them. One of the things that I was reading about when you ask for a referral that would be worth it is to say, and whoever you refer to me, I will give them a $500 closing cost credit. So now you've given them an incentive to ask. Another, which is, I think, kind of an important part of the process, is give them a reason to give out your name. And then the second thing is give them actual things to, like, so when you come across, do you think in the next 3 months you could refer 2 people to me who might be looking to purchase or refinance? If you do, I'll give them a $500 closing cost credit because you referred them. So then this is the next part. anybody at work, anybody at your church or at your gym or one of your neighbors or someone in your family, you give them a way to start thinking of the people that they know. Because most people, if you're like me, you're like going, yeah, sure, yeah, I'll ask somebody, but I'm not thinking of anybody. But then if you tell me to think of people I work with, I'm like, oh, you know what? This girl I know that works in reception is getting ready. She said she was going to start looking for a house. I'll give you her name. I'll give you her name. I'll have her call you. Right. So it's just getting direct about it, being very specific about the ask in a way that gives you an opportunity for a win is the goal here. So at the end of the day, like I said, we all want more leads. So it's really hard to get the data right now out of Salesforce. And the reason that it's really hard is because we ran a report, and so if a realtor referred a client to you and they do another loan, it looks like the realtor referred the same client. So it's like, well, they did the first referral. They didn't do this. The second deal was you were the source of the second deal, right? The realtor was the original source, but if they came back to you, same thing happens when they refer. So if somebody refers a client to you, the next time it shows up as like that customer referred them again. And we know the customer didn't refer them twice. You got the second deal because of the job that you did and the fact that you stayed in touch. So what we're trying to do, and I don't know if I'm going to get this done because it's Salesforce and Pavle, but it's about the opportunity. If we can figure out a way to source the opportunity instead of sourcing the household, because that's the issue. Salesforce gives you the source of the household account, not the source of the opportunity. You're asked to find out where the household came from, not where the opportunity came from. And if we could get that to be the ask, what's the source of this opportunity? If it was the same as the household, that's fine. But if it was a repeat, that's what we're trying to do. And so Dina said she's going to talk to Pavle about it. So unfortunately, I don't know, beyond you guys tracking it manually, I don't know if there's going to be, and it should be a very simple thing. And I'm frustrated that it's not, and I'm trying to get that addressed, but so that's it. So next week, I want a couple, 3 people I want to hear your script, right? I want you to share it. And I want you to talk about it. And then we're going to do that every couple of weeks. Or every week, I want to hear, let's hear a good script. And it's just role playing. And this is all about leverage. The better you get at any skill is how you get more leverage, right? So the same 2 people could be calling, 2 loan officers could both make 100 phone calls a day and talk to 100 people a day. The person who's going to do better is the person with more skill, right? That is better on the phone, right? So it's just practice. It isn't, you're going to get better because you do it more. And if the more you do this, the better you get. If you become like an ace at this and all of a sudden 25% of your business is coming from past client referrals, that 25% would convert at the highest possible level because they're already pre-sold. The client loves you, and the client tells the person they're referring that you were great. They're already like, hey, I know I need to work with you. And those were the easiest deals to do for me. And every now and then I get to shopper in there, but for the most part, they were the easiest deals, and they became great referring customers as well. They always repeated. I had a lot of repeat business from those same clients as well. So Giuseppe sent an email last week because he wasn't able to be on the call. He had a closing that you asked several times in the transaction, and I wanted to get clarity on that. Are you asking verbally in the transaction, or are you asking as part of your email templates and video templates?
All on videos, man. I'm chicken shit like everyone else. Hey, one thing on tracking past clients. So you can track that in Encompass under referral source. So everything that I've done for years and years is if it's a repeat client at the bottom there, I just put repeat. And then when you can pull your reports out of Encompass and you
That's
can
a good
see
point. I didn't think of
exactly
that.
instead of putting, because it will, if you're exporting out of Encompass or out of Salesforce, it will auto-populate that initial realtor, but you can just change that to repeat or past client, whatever you want. And then you can pull your closed loan report at the end of the year and know exactly how many are past client repeats.
I do the same, but then I do like / like Giuseppe. So I know like it's repeat and it was originally
that's
from
a good idea.
Giuseppe.
That's a really good idea.
Dave, I think this is great. It might be a good idea to add this to our Salesforce process. Kind of like how Jonathan yesterday was like, what do we do with this scheduled closing activity? Like add something where we maybe send a video, a bomb. And you can probably just do one, right? And then just automatically send it out. And then do a follow-up call with the client and then schedule a follow-up call. That way it's like, it's in the system. There's a template in the email already built. We hit send and we call the client the next day and say, hey, did you get my email? Blah, blah, blah. Do you have any friends or family?
Yeah, the key is going to be doing the verbal ask.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, put it in the system. So
Yeah, no, you're right.
it's
No,
a
you're
reminder.
right. Yeah. Well,
And we can come up with a really good script together, all of us, or you can chat GPT it for us.
I tried Chat GPT. I didn't like the answers. They gave us really passive answers.
Chat GPT is, I don't know, kind of going downhill.
Salutations, Christopher.
Yeah, it came up with really passive ways to ask, where if you happen to know anybody, it was always, I was wondering if you could keep me in mind anytime you hear somebody thinking about buying a home. That's just it's a weak ask. It's just a weak way to ask. And if you ask directly and you're just like, look, let's just pony up and ask the question, right? And see what we get, because no one's going to say no. No one's going to say no. No one's going to say they love you. No one's going to say no. They love the job that you did. I don't know about asking at the closing. I don't asking after. I like the 7-day post-closing call. If you're making a call, I know that all of you have some sort of a post-closing follow-up. I think that's a great time to ask. You know who was good at this? Todd Gerke was good at this. Todd was good at asking this because Todd was a really direct guy, and he would tell them up front, my goal is for you to get 5-star white glove service. I can't remember how he said it at all. It's like, so that at the end of this transaction, you're going to feel comfortable referring to me. And if you do get that white glove service, would you agree to refer business to me? Like he would ask like directly, and the customers, and when you ask somebody that directly, most 99 times out of 100, they're like, well, yeah, of course. Everybody's going to say that. But I like this other way first. Like, if you think of anybody, could you refer 2 people who might be looking to purchase or refinance a home in the next 2 or 3 months? And if you do, we'll give them a $500 closing cost credit because you referred them. Okay. So anybody at work, anybody in your church, your gym, your neighbors, your family, I would love the opportunity. I think that you create it's just all of a sudden their reticular activator changes, right? Because you give them the places where they know people and see what happens. But if we don't try, we're not going to get any leads, right? If we don't start trying to do this. And I think that, at the end of the day, these are the things that make the biggest difference is this leverage. You're leveraging somebody, you already get a 5-star review. So now the goal is to figure out a way to leverage that 5-star review into more repeat and referral business, but more referral business, because you're great at the repeat, right? The number of repeat customers we get is phenomenal. It's the referral from those clients that don't think to refer us that can make all the difference. This is low-hanging fruit that we don't even try for. Jessica, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I also want to know what Christine was going to say because she was off mute, but I would say instead of saying anyone, I would just say, who do you know, right? From church, from work, and then shut up. And then just be quiet, because putting it back to them is like, who do you know that's asked you about this process? One realtor told me, who's been in the business for a while, he said, during the process, people are going to start talking about, oh, I'm buying a house. And people are going to start asking them questions. You can just say, who's been asking you questions about buying a house? And just wait.
That's solid. I love that.
Yeah.
And another way someone's got their hand up. Was that you, Jessica? I don't even know how to do that. How do you do that?
Down at the bottom.
Reactions?
I believe so, yeah.
Oh, I thought that was just like emojis or something. Anyways, another way to do that's some people like me are not wired to ever say, who do you know? David Lazowski talked about that at some dinner at Fairway a long time ago. Remember at that steakhouse?
Yep.
And he was like all pushing that. And half the table that were all top producer, like, yeah, I'm never going to do that. So if you don't feel like doing that, what I do is, because sometimes people may not know someone right off the top of their head who needs to refinance right now or buy a house right now. You can say, who do you know who is thinking about what it would be like to own a home? And then that might open up a larger sphere of people in their world that are like, yeah, my cousin, like she's not going to buy right now, but she's been talking about it and thinking about it, and make the connection that way.
That's good. I like that. Has anybody, is anybody unfamiliar with the term split testing when it comes to marketing? Is anybody unfamiliar with that? Okay. Split testing is when you write and you do a marketing piece of some kind. Could be a flyer, could be an email, and you send out a large sample. You can't just do a 1 or 2, but you send out a large sample of emails, and then you measure the response. And then you change something about the email and you send it out to a different group and you measure that response. And your goal is to always try to get which one's the best, right? And what split testing means is that everybody's trying to improve the result they're getting by making a change. And could be in the subject line, taking the word "the" out of the subject line and sending that, and see if that improves the click-through rate or the response rate. The goal is to always try to beat your best. And the best marketers and the best people on the planet do it constantly. They change it all the time. Tim Brahim talks about this over and over and over again in the trainings that he does, where he said, whenever I would get an objection, whenever I didn't get the result that I looked for based on the script I used, I sat back and I said, okay, what could I say that could have done better? I'll try that next time, right? And so the goal of this, what Giuseppe just talked about, is you can ask everybody, and you can ask people more than once, right? So if you ask 250 people this year, Giuseppe, you used to do that thing where you were calling your database, you were touching your database twice a year, the A's and the A's, the B's, the C's, the D's each week, and then 26 weeks, and you'd start over.
Still do.
And so you're going to have more than one opportunity to ask people for a referral and then see the result that you get, right? So if you passively ask 10 people and then you more directly ask 10 people, just measure the result. Like, well, I didn't get any referrals when I asked passively. I got 2 referrals when I asked directly. I'm going to start asking directly, right? I'm going to do a more direct ask and then try to improve that. So how you ask is less important than you're asking, and then you're trying to improve it and get a better result. So the beauty of all of this is that if we're all willing to get back on this call every week and talk about how they asked, use the script and the result, and like, okay, now I'm going to try to do better. I'm going to try to get a better result. I think this is what I'm talking about. That's how we can do this and really improve. Because at the end of the day, it's about getting more leads. It just comes down to more leads. That's what we want. What else?
I had a couple ideas. I guess another way you could be like a super win would do join in with the realtor, right? Call together. I don't know. Like you could do that, or do a bomb video together. Say, hey, this is Chris and Jackie, and you had a 5-star experience with us. Who can we help next? I don't know. That way the realtor loves you and you're helping get more leads that way. That's another idea. Christine would probably kill that with her realtors. And another one is we have that 20-day check-in. I don't know about you guys, but I always follow up with people. I don't do the 20-day one because I'm like, they just moved in. But I definitely do the 3 and 6 month and 12-month check-in. But now I'm realizing I could probably do the 20-day check-in post-closing and ask for a referral then too. Especially if they filled out a 5-star review. It's like, hey, you recently said you had a 5-star experience with me. Who do you know that would also enjoy this 5-star experience? I'll give them $500 off their closing costs. So you can use that 20-day check-in. The one that Casey did, like handing them at closing, I was like, that is like, I wouldn't like that. So that's not how I'm going to do it. But like letting people get settled in, they did the review, they had a good closing, and then just out of nowhere, you pop in and say, hey, who do you know? I don't know. Cool.
Yeah, I
Great thought.
if I
Chris.
could just get
I
you to
agree.
actually ask, if I can just get you to actually ask directly, this will improve. I know it will. Love the idea about bringing the realtor into the discussion, but I wouldn't rely on the realtor because the realtor, most of the realtors, there's a bunch of top producers on this call and you all don't ask. So the realtors aren't asking either.
No, I'm saying you would ask jointly. That way it takes the pressure off. It's not like just me. Obviously not every realtor, but you want to do it with your realtors that you know are like go-getters.
Yeah.
Which are usually your top anyway. So.
I don't know, Chris, I think like you lead with like, hey, I did this for you with your mortgage. I did this with you. We got the best pricing, all of the skills that you have, like, is like next level. And they know you're not like a cheater or a liar. Everything's like so transparent, you know, like we have to like keep in mind that our competition is like, they lie and they're not as educated and they don't care. So we have to just say like, hey, we really care about you. We care about your family too. Like, how can we help your family with a home loan? Like, you know, something like that. Like,
Yeah, that's a really good point because we're acting like they're doing us a favor. You're doing them a favor by making sure their friends and family and neighbors and coworkers get a good have a great mortgage home buying experience and don't pay too much, don't have a bad experience, don't get a bogus pre-approval, don't get, you know, all that stuff that we do. We're doing them a favor, and it's important. That's a great point.
That's what I was
It's a-
just gonna say. You can't do sales and act desperate for somebody to help you out. You have to walk into the conversation confident with what you have to offer, what you've already offered to them. And it's just a conversation. I think we're building up all of this stuff to ask a very simple question. When in reality, like, you know, it may not be the right timing to do it at this point in every transaction. You're always going to be having conversations with people. You have to know like when to tie it in, and it's just a question, and to go in confident that you have provided a great service that you know their friends and family are going to like, right? You're not like, that's helping get business. Like you want your friends and family to work with me. So it's like a delicate line of confidence and, you know, knowing when to ask that question. And it shouldn't be so scripted and at a certain point every single time, in my opinion.
Fair. What else?
If you heard that.
We did.
Do you still do that email from Jeremy Fortier where like when they tell you they love you, you kind of respond back to the like, yeah, thanks. I want to work with more awesome people like you too. Who do you know?
You're asking me.
Yeah. Do you still do that?
I
You
have
did
that
for a little
template in
bit.
my signatures, but I had totally forgotten about it until right now. I need like a better trigger than that. I don't know why, like
Yeah.
you should do that for like every 5-star review. Now, like every 5-star review, what I'm doing is like pushing them to Google, right? And following up with that. And I should really just be, once that's fixed with bird eye or whatever, that they're going straight to Google, then yeah, that would be like a super easy, you can almost do like an autoresponder, that. So yeah, good reminder. Thanks.
Well,
Ryan.
that could be one of your great theme day calls for all the reviews that you got in the past 7 days. That could be a great follow-up, that verbal ask, because, hey,
Yeah.
first of all, I want to thank you for the review that you gave me. That means so much to me. And then go into the ask. That's a great timing point to ask because they're happy with what you did. They just obviously just gave you the big 5-star review, right? So it's a perfect time to ask.
Yeah, and I think tagging on to Christine's point too, like this could just be something that's unique to every situation you have. There could be good moments and different conversations that you have with every client, right? It's like you're not going to you kind of become robotic if you do it at the exact same time in the transaction and they feel that, right? It becomes salesy at that point. So I think you have to read your relationship with the client and do it when you feel like it's the right time and when you know you've earned it, right? Because otherwise then you're like getting on the call and you're like, shit, I'm about to ask for, a referral, and it becomes a little weird, right?
Right. Right on. So next week I want to hear 3 scripts. Okay. And then we'll talk some more about this and more opportunity, and we can hear more, but I'm going to be calling on 3 people. So you can't all just have something to do next Friday. So let's let's be ready for it. You know, role playing is one of those things that everybody finds a little uncomfortable, but let's not be those guys, right? Let's just get comfortable with it and get better. It's about developing your skills at the highest level, guys. Thanks a lot.